Hello and welcome to my science fair project PowerPoint. My project was dissolving sugar in tea, hot tea, and I kind of liked it. Except for the taste of the tea that I did not like. On to the next slide. So my question is, what type of sugar dissolves fastest in tea? I don't know why I chose it, but I did. Maybe because I liked sugar or something. I can't really remember. On to the next slide. So my hypothesis was that if I test different types of sugars dissolving rate, if I test different types of sugar dissolving rates in tea, then powdered sugar would dissolve the slowest because powdered sugars clump together. Yeah, no. That was wrong. On to the next slide. So, my info were sugar, tea, and all the constants that I put on here, which I'm not going to read because there's a lot of them. That's pretty much it on the slide. On to the next slide. So, my materials are about 3 lines long. Most of it is just sugar and utensil things. And then the one thing at the beginning is tea. On to the next slide. So this slide tells you how long the sugar took to dissolve, as you can see by the title. And it took it's a range of times. The first time we did it, I don't think I did it very well. But the numbers beside the sugars, the types of sugar, that just indicates which sugar it is. On to the next slide. So this slide, I have the tastes, or at least what I tasted from the teas after the sugar was mixed with it. And by the results of it, I did not like it. It's either because I just don't like tea, or it just did not taste good. On to the next slide. So this is how the sugar felt slide, basically. These are all my opinion. Everything that's on these, like, slides with the orange background, all of the things that I put on the slide is just my feelings, or my opinion. So, sugar feels weird, sort of, like sand, mostly. On to the next slide. So, on this slide, I tasted all of the sugars that I used, and this picture on the side had, like, me in it, my face, so I kind of had to put a shape in front of myself, because, yeah. But sugar is really sweet, like every sugar is. On to the next slide. This slide is, I basically just put what these types of sugars are what they're used to make, I guess. Pretty much only like sweet things, but yeah, pretty much only sweet things. Yeah, on to the next slide. So my step-by-step procedure is long, but pretty much all it tells you is to just make tea, put sugar in the tea, and then clean the glasses, the cups. On to the next slide. My data table and graph are, well, they're a data table and a graph. The graph is a bit confusing, but basically the colors represent the tests and each little segment is a different sugar. So number 3 basically took the least amount of time. It's also what it says on the data table. On to the next slide. So my data analysis is, it is basically just everything that I did and what happened from that. Yeah, that's actually it. And also the spots that, how fast or slow they took. On to the next slide. So, my conclusion is basically just a conclusion. Has everything that it needs and my things I learned in my 2 questions. I'll read those out. I learned that sugar is extremely sweet and that it feels like sand, because it does. 2 questions I have is what is the sweetest sugar and what is the blandest sugar, as in taste, because that's what those words mean. Now, on to the next slide. So in this recording, I'm just going to recap on what happened, basically. So I couldn't get all of the slides to be like, to have a picture in the background, and the second slide for the times of the sugar, I did that myself. Like, I put a random picture that I found on the internet into the background, basically. And yeah, this is basically just the end of my presentation. Thanks for listening and looking. Goodbye.